Hi moms and dads, a very warm welcome to another episode of Today's Parent, where we endeavor to connect you with experts and resources that are useful to you. In today's episode, we are going to connect you with the Kenya Society of the Blind, especially if you have a child or a relative who is blind. The one thing we know for sure is that sometimes when you have a blind, relative or child, it may seem hopelessly difficult. But when you have the right resources, any child can be like any other child and grow to be the best that they can be. In studio today, we have Solomon Bukhala. He is the Acting Executive Director of the Kenya Society of the Blind, sharing with us today the resources when it comes to matters blindness here in Kenya. Mr. Bukhala.
Yes.
A warm welcome to our show.
Thank you.
How did you end up working at Kenya Society of the Blind? Is this something that you were interested in when you were young?
At the society, I moved in 2009, January. That time I was in charge of education for the blind in Nairobi. Nairobi, of course, did not have a special school for the blind.
Right.
But there was a program that was including learners with visual impairment in regular public schools. Mm-hmm. So that program had a coordinator. And that coordinator was me, the work I did for 7 years.
Wow.
Prior to that, I was deployed in Nairobi from the education office of West Pokot, where I had been in Kapenguria for 4 years in charge of Education Assessment and Resource Center, an institution that was charged with identifying and placing children with disabilities. Prior to 4 years, I had worked as a teacher for the blind in St. Francis School for the Blind for 15 years.
That's a long time.
So what I'm saying in a nutshell, I began working with people with visual impairment in 1987, after my diploma in education for the blind.
1987 is a long time ago. A long time ago.
Yes. So after that, along the line, I also Kenyatta University had never trained specialists in education for the blind. I was among the 8. We began our training because they wanted those who had diplomas, and we were few. So 8 of us enrolled in that program. We were funded by the government. We went in KU from 95 to 98, where I got my degree in education, but focusing on education for the blind.
Wonderful. So this is a field you are very conversant in.
Quite, I've worked in. I've not deviated since I started training and working with these learners with visual impairment. Up to today, this week, I was appointed to be the Acting Executive Director of Kenya Society for the Blind.
Congratulations.
But I have been the head of education and rehabilitation since 2009 January.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
The definition of visually impaired.
Yes.
How do you define visual impairment?
When we are talking of a person with visual impairment, we are looking at a group of people. One, there are those who are totally blind. They may not be able to see anything using their vision. They don't have vision at all. And there are those that are remaining with some minimal residual vision.
Right.
That they may be assisted with some devices to focus and at least see to a certain magnitude. Those are people with the low vision.
So they can only be assisted to see, but it cannot be treated?
No, they have reached a situation whereby they can't be treated even with the provision with the best device. They can only see to a certain level. You can't treat them. Now, when you put these two groups of people, those who are totally blind and those with the low vision, these are persons with visual impairment.
So either totally blind or low vision.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no way with early intervention, say if you have maybe we need to discuss the different types of visual problems as well.
Yeah.
So that we see what is, what can be repaired, what can be treated, and what is permanent. If you could just take us through the different forms of, visual problems.
One, I want to say that we are talking from our background in Kenya. And the causes of vision impairment, they include cataract, where we have the clouding of the lens. The lens can be clouded in a way that that clouding can be intervened by the doctor, and it can be removed.
It's called clouding.
Yeah, it makes the lens clouded. That means that is a cataract.
Right.
Now, that cataract can be extracted by a doctor, a surgeon,
Okay.
through surgery.
Yeah.
Very simple, they do it, they remove it, and then this person is given glasses so that he can now use his glasses to see. They're normally very thick because, remember, he doesn't have an internal what? Lens.
So they need to be assisted with the thick lens.
Yes, the thick lens. So that he can also continue seeing and doing his work.
Yeah.
I want us to know that there are also other causes of blindness. Currently, we have high blood pressure in the eye. We call it glaucoma. Glaucoma is a condition where the fundus, or the inner part of the eye, has more pressure that it's forcing the eyeball to protrude outside. That pressure must be reduced.
Wow.
And as it's reduced with the time, somebody loses sight. And most of the glaucoma patients, they lose sight completely.
And when it comes to glaucoma patients, does it affect children as well, or mainly adults?
Yes, it affects even children. Issues to do with the eye affects both the
Adults
young
and children.
Yes. Then we have another condition, we call it retinitis pigmentosa. Retinitis pigmentosa is a condition that somebody loses sight gradually. It starts diminishing gradually. And with the time, that person does not have sight at all.
And what causes it?
It comes just natural. Yes, some people just incite retinitis pigmentosa, and it continue. It can even affect some families. I have a family, for instance, in Kitale, that had a number of children with retinitis pigmentosa, and you see, they all became totally blind.
So are we saying then that blindness can be something that is genetic?
Yes, it can be caused. It is genetic.
Or is it mainly genetic?
Yeah, not mainly.
Not mainly genetic.
Not mainly,
Okay.
Because you can acquire blindness.
That's true.
You can also be attacked by any disease, like trachoma, for instance. Trachoma is whereby the conjunctiva, if you look at your eye, the inner part of the eye, if we can open and you'll find that the inner part of it is reddish, that is covering the eye. Now what happens with the trachoma is that it happens mostly in arid areas. Our lowlands of this country, like Turkana, Marsabit, West Pokot, the lowlands, Maasai area, some areas in the lowlands in Maasai area. And I want to say that this trachoma, its main cause, there are stubborn flies that they come and lay their eggs. And you see, these people in these areas, they say you don't have to chase the flies because you are chasing what? Riches. So you see.
That's a new one.
Yeah, and as they do that, now that fly lays its eggs on the conjunctiva. And then as as the eggs are laid on the conjunctiva, it becomes scarring. You see, it becomes, because nobody can chase, because if you do that,
you're going to chase riches.
Yes, and that is against the tradition. So you'll find that even the eyes are not washed, you see, and you find that now, if the inner part of the conjunctiva is scarred, then it starts scarring the cornea, which is the cornea is now that shiny part of the eye.
You know, you've taken us back to that class where we used to be taught
yes.
parts of the eye, pupil, yes. retina,
yeah.
you know.
So now you can see when there is scarring of the cornea, what happens is that you now get some ulcers, the eye ulcers.
We have eye ulcers?
Yes.
I know we have eye cancer, but
yes,
not eye ulcers.
The
wow.
ulcers that are emanating from glaucoma. And then as it continues, you find that the eye continues, constricting and becoming smaller, and then you find somebody loses sight. But with the intervention, trachoma, somebody does not lose sight. And that intervention, if it's on course, like in Kenya, it is, there are programs that have intervened in trachoma area, like Turkana, Marsabit, Sight Savers is doing that.
Okay.
And we want to say that with that, trachoma is being treated.
Okay.
Now, we also, people lose sight through accident. Yeah, you can have an accident when you find the optic nerve is detached.
Yeah.
And the retina is detached from the optic nerve. And once the retina is detached from the optic nerve, there is no transmission. Yes, it's no transmission.
So, of course, you'll
that
be able
means
to see.
You can't see.
Yeah.
And there you are. Yes.
Mr. Solomon, are there any conditions? I know you've mentioned that eye conditions affect both children and adults, but are there conditions that you can think of that mainly affect children?
Well, we want to say that cataract is key that affects both, but also is normally assumed and is not intervened with among children. There are also children who are born blind because of what went on when the mother was expectant, the use of many different drugs affected the features, and this child went blind. And others are born blind because there was no formation of the eyeballs. They are born without eyes. Yeah, because when there was that formation period, the eyes never formed. So the child is born healthy but without eyes. Yeah, and he's not seeing. Others, children poke themselves when they are young. Yeah, when they can poke with a pencil or something like sharp. Yeah, then the child loses vision. Yeah, so you measles at an early stage.
Oh.
Measles can affect a child, a young kid, keep on scratching there, yeah, and then all of a sudden the child will lose sight. There are some areas where people don't treat, measles, and because of that, many children lose sight at an early age.
So even with a simple vaccination,
yes,
it could have prevented this
correct.
Child from going blind.
Yes. So you see, and that is why it's very important to, in fact, encourage the expectant mothers, one, to attend the antenatal clinics. Yes, and also after delivery, there has to be that administration of the eye drops.
Yeah.
Yes, because you never know, because there are also causes. The mother, the canal, the birth canal may be having some diseases like syphilis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that now
also sexually transmitted diseases
they can cause. On delivery, that is why there is that administration of the eye drops. Yes, tetracycline. Yes, just to make sure that this child is not affected and is not going to lose sight because of that syphilis that was found in the birth canal.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Solomon, we're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll continue with our conversation.
Thank you.
In our conversation today, we have Solomon Bukhala from the Kenya Society for the Blind, shedding light on matters blindness. I hope you've learned something so far, and when we come back from the break, we are going to learn more from him. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to today's episode of Today's Parent, where we have Mr. Solomon. We are focusing on matters blindness. And we have a question as we come back from the break. Mr. Solomon, we have a question from Geoffrey, and Geoffrey's question is, how can I tell if my child is going blind?
Yes. One thing you should understand, any child after birth, after a few hours, days, so you can see the child responds to any stimulation of light. Yeah? The child will respond, because even if the mother is suckling that baby, the child will respond to light. The child will respond, even will open the eyes, yeah, and naturally will respond, and you'll see even the eye blinking. Yes, just natural like any other person. But you see, in a case of a child maybe who is born blind. You see, that child will be there, not responding to anything. Yeah. And you see, not responding to anything at all.
Solomon, when babies are born,
Yes.
do they see immediately?
No, you see, the eyes respond to light. You can see the child, even when you come in, you put on light, the child responds. Yes. Even
Like
if,
it's affecting their
yes,
eyes.
Yeah, the child responds. And that's why they try to close their eyes, they open, they close, open. Because you see, this is a new environment. So there is that response of acclimating, closing, opening. And
Yeah.
even when the mother is holding the baby tries to open, close, you see, which is unusual with a child with a visual impairment. Yeah? You see, there's no stimulation anyway, because the eye, you see, the eye is just there.
So the eye is just there.
Yes, you see. And there's no stimulation.
And there's no movement, you see.
And there's no movement, yes.
And this is something you can notice with maybe a baby who's a few days old, a few
weeks
old?
Of course. With a few weeks old, the baby, you'll see that the baby is not, responding to anything. Yeah? You find that even small babies, they keep on, trying to, as if they are driving and they are small babies, isn't it? They are driving, and you see, when you come, you find they are doing like this, But you see, like a child with a visual impairment, he may lead a very dull, early life. Yes, that now he's now not being stimulated by anything. He can only now, like sound, he can respond to sound, yeah? When you bang a door, you see the child maybe cries.
Gets startled or cries.
Yes, yeah. But you put on light, nothing.
When you move across the room, they don't move their eyes with you.
Yes, okay. They don't move, you see. But when you open the door, you see them. Yes, they respond.
How do you stimulate, if you have a blind child, how do you stimulate them?
You see, the child has to hear you talk. Yes, hoping that this child does not also have hearing
not
problem.
Deaf, yes.
Yes. So you have to talk to the child. The child has to touch you. Yes. You have to take the hand. He touches the lips. Yes. The child has to feel you are smiling. You are happy. The child has to feel that he is recognized, is appreciated. In fact, emotions make children want to touch things around them. Even those who see,
yeah.
they have active life. They want to touch. They want to touch. Now with the child with visual impairment, now we have to use toys with the sound, jingles, so that they also want to touch as they want to touch.
So they follow the sound.
Yes, and you see anything around them they want to touch. So if they do like that, they want to touch, we only make the environment to be conducive, everything to be clean. The toys should be clean because they'll go to the mouth. Yes.
All right.
See, you have to make the environment clean, everything clean. Yes. And you also participate. What you are doing, when you are doing, if it were a child who is seeing, you would not be verbalizing. But you see, if it's a child who does not see.
So you have to verbalize the conversations.
I'm washing my dress, and then the child comes and touches. You see, gradually the child touches and finds that he wants to stretch something, that is a sound from somewhere. He wants to stretch his hand. And as he does that, he learns to move forward. And you make sure that the environment does not have something
that will harm them,
that will harm them and discourage them from moving forward.
All right, Solomon. At what point do you introduce, the walking sticks?
Yeah. Now, white canes.
White canes.
The canes are very important to a person with visual impairment. More so, somebody who is able to move and interact freely in his environment. The cane has a history. One thing you should know, that this history began as immediately after the Second World War. The First World War did not have a lot of casualties, because it was almost fought from the nearest quarter. The artilleries were not like the Second World War, where we had planes, we had mines. Many people lost sight, and the veterans came back from war. And there they are. 1945, they are coming back all over the world. Thank God that the federal government of America was more concerned of their citizens. And thank God because of the UK, the British people, they were also more concerned. But you see, Some countries like Kenya, we were on the side of the British and the Americans.
Yeah.
And so our people came back. Also, now they came up and we were under the protectorate of the British people.
That is how the White Kings came.
Now I want to tell you now what happened. Now these veterans, when they came from war, yeah, those who had lost sight, they had sticks.
Right.
So when they came, they had sticks. The federal government of America, because it had a commitment over their citizens, they now said, what can we do to these people? They look strong, healthy, but they have sticks. They have no sight. What can we do? They appointed a commission. Professor Hoover was appointed as the first person to look into the issues of the blind.
Right.
What can we do with these people? So he now had to have, through his commission, they first of all had the first cane in the world that was referred to as Hoover's cane.
Hoover's cane. Mr. Solomon, because we're running out of time, I just want to understand your mandate at Kenya Society for the Blind.
Yes.
The white canes,
Yes.
do you give them for free? Do parents have to pay for them? Do people have to pay for them? Or and which other resources you have? What I would want you to do right now is to share with our viewers how the Kenya Society for the Blind can be of help to them.
One thing you should know that we are living times that is not of charity. That is one thing you should know. Times have changed.
Are you
Yes.
guys self-funded? You are self-funded?
We are not funded directly by the government.
Right.
We work with partners who are ready to work with us.
Okay.
To meet, to meet our obligation. One, we are to prevent blindness. We are to rehabilitate those who lose sight.
Right.
We are to ensure that those who are accessing education access appropriate quality education. We have to influence policies on persons with visual impairment.
Totally understood. For any parent right now
Yes.
who wants to connect with the Kenya Society for the Blind,
Yes.
how can they get in touch?
Now, the society we are open.
Where are you located?
We are located in Nairobi West, the
Nairobi
headquarters.
West.
Next, just off Langata Road, along Maimayu Road, next to Moi Educational Center.
Right.
There is a gate there, Kenya Society for the Blind. And I want to say, this is a membership society.
Oh, it's membership based.
It's a membership society. You can become a member, whether blind or not.
Okay.
You can subscribe as a life member, 5,000 per once and once for all. You can subscribe as an annual subscriber. You pay 1,000 annually, and that can be very good. One thing I just want to now tell you, a white cane is a projected part of an arm. And you see, our hand can reach somewhere. But if we put a cane on it and hold it, it goes beyond. And it can now help us to detect what is ahead of us. Using a cane is a technique. The cane does not have eyes. We make sure we hold the cane in the center, and we normally say no step without a cane. So when you put a cane on the right foot is there. On the left, like that. So you are protecting the lower part
Right.
of the limb,
All right.
of the limbs. But you should know there are now more, in fact, advanced canes. We have now smart canes that they hiss, they produce sound when something is next to you above your waist.
Wow. That is good to know.
That's a smart cane. And you see, they are there in the society. What we are saying, we are also urging people to donate canes. When we get donations, we normally tell people. The other day we were in Durarwa Primary in Kawangware, and we donated canes that we received. Last week we were in Voi. We donated canes. During the 3rd of December, that is the International Day of Disability, we were in Makueni. Also a group of us were in Kisumu. When we were celebrating, we were donating canes that we had received.
All right.
I want to say you are welcome at the society. Please come. We also have a static clinic that every Tuesday, bring your child, bring whoever that you are suspecting to be having visual
issues,
problems. Yes. Yeah, we have an optic shop, and our products are not as expensive as outside here. Come to us, see what we can do together. Also, we are saying those who can support others
to come and support you.
Come and support our initiative.
All right.
So that we can reach more, We can screen children, we can screen people.
And offer more support.
And support more with the other people.
Thank you, Solomon. We have to come to the end of today's show. It has been so insightful. We thank you so much for coming to share. And for anybody who wants to, connect with you, I'm sure they will.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Today's Parent, where we hosted Mr. Solomon from the Kenya Society for the Blind. I hope you've learned something. If you have a child who is blind and you need to plug in, or a relative, please make sure you reach out to Solomon of Kenya Society for the Blind. I have been your host, Christine Kasina, and this has been Today's Parent. We've been here in studio at Little Cribs, the home of fun, exciting, durable, and affordable kids furniture. Looking for parenting resources? Go to www.supermamas.co.ke. And we thank you so much for your time, and on that note, see you next time.